Assalamu alaikum. This is Anwar Bilgrami. I'm working as Professor of Biology and Scientific Research Consultant to the Deanship of Scientific Research at King Abdulaziz University, Jeddah. The Deanship of Scientific Research at KAU has started a series of talks related to important aspects of scientific research for the benefits of the university faculty members as well as their students. Today's talk is You Perish Even If You Publish, the Problem of Scientific Impersonation. So, let us begin.
First, let me tell you a story. One of my friends has strangely asked, "What does this you perish means?" I understand his concern and I explained that you are not going to perish from this world. But if you don't publish, then certainly you will be perished from the academic world. He started laughing, and that has intrigued me further. Not blaming him at all, because perish means differently at different stages of the career. For example, if for undergrad students, perish means that if he doesn't publish his research, it may be difficult for him to get a job. For assistant professors or associate professors or middle stage scientists, if they don't publish, then there are chances that they may not be able to pursue their tenure track promotions. And for the scientists and the senior faculty like you and me, perish means altogether a different meaning, where we may lose research grants, and many times people lose their employment as well. So our apprehensions about perishing does not end here, but it forces us to think, what if our hard work is stolen, fraudulently published by someone else, or it is stolen by someone, or someone steals our hard-earned money, or maybe someone impersonates our identity. So this is all that I'm going to talk in this lecture, which has about 42 to 43 slides, and it's going to take around 40 to 45 minutes.
Okay, let us retrospect some facts. Why we need to publish and how. We want to publish our research to disseminate new knowledge, to increase the impact of our research, help society to develop, and to get respected by our peers. With the numbers on the screen on your left hand side, one can imagine how much publishing of research papers are done. They got significant higher rates of rejections, ranging from 30% to 60%. But also, thousands of papers are peer-reviewed by thousands of referees. Such an influx of research publications has led to the birth of the open access publication, which makes research articles available online with stringent protection of the intellectual property. The open access is free, immediate online availability of research articles, coupled with the rights to use these articles fully in the digital environment. This was not the case around 20 years ago, when most of the papers were published in the printed form. Open access publication was a true game changer in the history of research publications. Not only in research, not only in scientific research, but also in other fields such as journalism. E-journals, repositories, hyperlinked references, citation tracking, scholarly blogs, all have started taking place to diversify scholarly assessments, discoveries, analysis, writings, publications, etc. Soon open access publication has taken several facets. and each having some characteristics. For example, open access publication, where publishers publish papers with a fee, which may or may not be available freely. I mean, the paper and the journals. The freely available model of publication charges some fee, but the papers are freely available for the audience. The gold open access model charges some fee as subscription, but the articles are freely available to access by the audience on publisher's website. And then there is green open access model where self-archiving articles can be accessed on authors' institution websites. And here are a few more. For example, hybrid model. It is still evolving, taking the shape of self-publishing traits. The author must pay some fee to support publication in open access model, whereas platinum open access model, the publications are freely available without any fees. And finally, there is a subscription model where authors must pay a subscription fee to access the journal. All right, so when we are ready to publish our research, we struggle to find an appropriate journal. And what should be the criteria to do this? It is very simple. Think, check, and submit. So following this checklist to choose trusted journals to publish your research, think whether the journal is right for your research publication. Check using a checklist to verify the journal, and submit only when you verify the journal. What we must think when choosing a journal. For example, is there any malpractice report or significant number of retractions from the journal? That is one of the important criteria that you should definitely try to find out whether there are any retractions, and if papers are retracted, then how many. Please also ensure that targeted journal is the right choice, and find it out whether that journal is trusted and genuine, and whether the journal that you have selected is right for your work, is like compatible with your research. What I mean is that whether your subject belongs to that journal or not, or that journal has the scope of your work or not. So that is really very important. And what should we check about the chosen journal? Once we have chosen, then what should be the criteria of checking it? The first thing is familiarity with the journal is important, that you should be familiar with that journal in a way that you and your colleagues read this journal. So if you are not familiar, you can ask your colleagues. And make sure that publishers, editorial board members are approachable through email, phone, or fax. Many times in predatory journals, you don't see editors, names of editors and reviewer, editorial board and other members. Transparency of peer review methods are very important, whether your paper is reviewed by whom. You should at least have an idea about that. And ensure whether that journal is the right choice for your studies. And finally, you must also check that the journal is listed in the directory of open access journals. Now, when you have, chosen a journal and you have checked a little bit about its authenticity, and then I suggest submitting your paper only when you check trustworthiness of the journal. So you have to at least find it out whether you can trust it or not, whether that journal is real or not. You must ensure that publishing your paper in this journal will increase your citations. And why I am emphasizing on citations, because if that journal is good, reliable, authentic, definitely that journal must be having some good citations. So you can check that as well. While submitting your paper, you must feel that your publication in this journal will enhance your paper your academic profile, and it will be indexed and archived in trusted repositories. And again, it's very important. Any journal which is listed in ISI, Thomson Reuters, Web of Science, of course, those journals will be authentic, almost 99, 95%. Chances are there that they are authentic. And then the last thing is that you have to find out whether your article, your paper is professionally reviewed by the experts and edited. And again, that is another important point, that if they are, renowned experts on the editorial board, then definitely that journal is going to be a genuine one. Now, a big question compels us to answer why we need to do all these exercises. And the answer of that big question is the scientific impersonation, which is happening all around us, locally and globally, in the form of predatory journals and predatory publishers. What is predatory journal then? Interesting. I'm sure that most of us know what these predatory journals are and what harm they do to us. The term predatory journal was first coined in 2008 by Jeffrey Beall, who was librarian in Colorado University in the United States of America. In its entirety, predator is a type of symbiosis which take advantage of its partner without giving anything in return. So, in this case, numerous journals are predatory, and in that symbiotic relationship, we are their prey. These predatory journals exploit open access publication and charge fee without providing any legitimate services to the authors. And why they are predatory then? Because they trick academics into publishing by fraudulent means. There are several synonyms of predatory journals, such as illegitimate journals, fake journals, dark journals, journals operating in bad faith, deceptive journals, fraudulent journals, etc. So, in a simpler way, we can say any publication that practices deception, extortion, and provides false information is predatory. Predatory journals lead to scientific impersonation, violating ethical codes of scholarly conduct and behavior. These journals impersonate highly ranked journals deliberately and desperately for monetary advantages. Falsification and deception of scientific publishing practices harms credibility of science by impersonating journals. Impersonating high-ranked journals deliberately, desperately, and fraudulently, gaining monetary advantages. Soliciting authors to publish their research in impersonated journals, pretending and presenting oneself as a qualified editor of impersonated journals, and the violation of scholarly codes of conduct and ethical behavior. Scientific impersonation may occur in various ways. For example, predatory journals. Predatory journals exploit open access format involving publication or handling fees without any services. The fake editors. Fake editors impersonate reputed scientists by self-designating the chief editor of the journal without even being qualified expert. Then comes the fake papers. Now, fake papers, in other words, they can be called cooked papers, hence impersonating science with false information. And lastly, predatory publishers, those publishers who publish fraudulent journals. These publishers are monstrous, and they fraudulently aim to generate revenues. Okay, let's talk a little bit about history of predatory journals so that we should understand, a background of predatory journals. Um, there was a black sheep, right amongst us, and we were not aware of it. For how long the practice of predatory publication was existing, we didn't know. But let us have a look on the history of predatory journals. In March 2008, for the first time, Gunther Eisenbeck, who was an open access journal publisher, cautioned about a black sheep among the open access journals. And in July 2008, Richard Ponders brought to attention the unethical and illegitimate practices of new publishers. The 2008 report of Black Sheep has assured the creation of Open Access Scholarly Publication Association to safeguard the legitimate journals. Contrary to that, scams in open access publications and journals continue to rise. It was becoming more of a nonsense than a reason for celebration. Um, Dishonesty and scams in open access journals continue to rise thereafter. In 2009, most fearful incident has happened when a research blog found that predatory journals have published papers which were already published in high-ranked journals earlier. Thus began the rise in paper retractions. And this case was reported to the Nature. Interestingly, the practice was proved by Phil Davis in 2010 when he submitted a manuscript on computer-generated nonsense just full of garbage, which was accepted by the predatory journal, proving that these journals were really devouring the actual science. Although later he has retracted his submissions. Um, Yet another interesting thing with predatory journal is that they never refund publication or submission fees to the authors if someone wants to retract their paper. In 2013, John Bohannon, scientific staff writer, challenged the system of predatory journal by submitting a flawed medical paper. Most journals, including Journal of Natural Pharmaceuticals, accepted it, whereas many such as PLOS have rejected it. And John Bohannon has submitted 304 such papers. And the extent of error in those papers was such that even a high schooler could have identified them. Surprisingly, 157 of them were either processed or immediately accepted. Still, um, in August 2016, Federal Trade Union of USA sued Omics Group, which has many sister companies like IMED, Conference Rees, Euroscience, etc. And Sirina Babu Jadela, who was the company president. Omics Publishing Group. Omics Publishing Group was a publisher of open access journals, widely regarded as predatory. It started publishing journals since 2008. By 2015, it claimed over 700 journals, although about half of them were defunct. Omics was accused of shame peer reviewing, including editors without their consent or knowledge, misleading researchers using fancy impact factors, false claim about paper indexing, and not informing of publication fees ranging from hundreds to thousands of dollars per author. Numerous academics and the United States government questioned the validity of the peer reviewing by Omics journals. In return, Omics has defended its practices by threatening Jeffrey Beall with $1 billion US dollar lawsuit for defamation. However, Federal Trade Union and Jeffrey Beall has won the lawsuit, and Omics was fined for $50 million. Another interesting experiment known as Dr. Fraud's experiment in 2015 was conducted to expose predatory journals. This was really the height of the impersonation. Four researchers have created fictitious name as Anna Zoots and applied for an editor position to 360 scholarly journals, whereas Anna's qualifications were dismal, substandard. She has never published a single paper and never had any editorial experience. Now see what happens. 40 predatory journals accepted her as editor. What later has termed as scientific impersonation. In contrast, she did not receive any response from ethically publishing journals. And those journals in question were delisted from the directory of open access journals. None of the 120 JCR journals offered position to Zoots. So what we need to do when we know that predatory journals and the trades, should we sit with our eyes closed? I don't think so. We need to stay alert and peep into fraudulent activities of publishers to stop them. Otherwise, it'll be shock and awe. So how to identify predatory journals? Okay, so um, that was a little history about predatory journals, and then we should, discuss a little bit about that how we can identify these predatory journals. Here I have prepared few points in the checklist that would help in identifying the fake journals. They unsolicitedly ask to contribute, send emails containing dubious impact factors, and these journals have clumsy reviewing and editing processes. Predatory journals, very little time to publish paper, maybe 1 or 2 weeks. They publish large number of articles in one volume with flawed website and unknown journal editors. Predatory journals are not listed in standard periodicals such as Scopus, Web of Science, ProRequest, etc. And these journals charge submission fee and keep copyright with themselves instead of authors. Predatory journals have a small editorial team, and one publisher publishes big number of journals in various fields. Many journals even advertise that journal will publish, but they never see the light of the day. Now moving to another slide, which shows the signs of predatory types. So if you notice any of these signs, at least you should start doing research to find out whether that journal is genuine or not. And whenever you see any of these signs, definitely it will raise the flag. The predatory journals publish and accepts nonsensical papers without disclosing fee before acceptance. They solicit scientists, submit papers, and to become editorial board members or editors. If scientists don't give them consent, they still display their names without their consent. And the scary part of this is even they don't allow the scientist to resign and leave the journal, even if the scientist doesn't want to continue. They are not afraid. They are not afraid to mimic or infringe copyrights and citing fake impact factors and misleading information, fake academics as editorial board members, and use names of experts in the field without their consent. There are some more signs here about the predatory journals that publishers, they are not the member of professional organizations such as COPE, EASE, and other bodies. And the printed articles have poor writing Exaggerated flattering you can notice, contradictory statements you can find, numerous typographical errors you may notice in the papers published by predatory journals. So you have to be careful when you are searching a paper to publish your work. Um, as I said that the websites are very unprofessional and editorial board members are without any affiliations. You can see the names, but their affiliations are all faked out. If you go and check their affiliations, almost 90% times you don't find their correct affiliations. The journal names may also be deceiving. And I'll show you how, just after a few slides, I'll show you how they do it. And then they also presents unrealistically high impact factors. Predatory journals, this is how they name their journals to attract the, you know, scientists. Predatory journals affiliate themselves to the developed countries, for example, USA, UK, Australia, and Germany. And the example could be American Journal of Scientific Research. Even if that publisher is based in Asia, but they put the name of the journal as American. Then they also do that fake journals have catchy adjectives such as advanced, world, international, global. And there are so many journals where they use these words like International Journal of Advanced Materials and Biological Sciences. Now, these kind of titles definitely, raises a flag on it. Why? Because the scope is so wide, which is difficult to see nowadays, having such a broad spectrum journal, having International Journal of Advanced Materials and Biological Sciences, two different fields. So material sciences is a huge discipline, biological sciences is a huge discipline. This is one of the examples of the journals published by Omics. I just mentioned about Omics, who was sued by Jeffrey Beal, and you can see here that the activities of these journals were unusual. Um, Omics has also held many deceptive global conferences around the globe. Non-existing journals this group had, and they claimed to publish 700 journals, but never saw anybody saw those 700 journals published by. They also claimed that 25 plus readership for each journal. So that looks like a little bit doubtful. So if you see these kind of numbers, it's always better to check it. Another example of predatory journals you may come across with these kind of presentations where journal shows, dates and deadlines and emails and impact factors and everything on the cover page. Again, that could be the predatory journal. Another example of predatory journal where you can see, International Journal of Science and Advanced Technology, a wider scope journal having, these dates here like submissions due on October 27, notification on 29th, and publishing date is 31st October. It means that once a paper is submitted on 27th October, the paper will be published on 31st October. It'll be like in 4 days. How come a journal, can publish a paper in 4 days? Means that these journals, they don't get those papers reviewed by experts. This is an example of real and fake journal. The journals are also hijacked by predatory publishers, as you see here. To reap the benefits, they change the journal website and the format. Many predatory journals display fake impact factors for their journals by mentioning that the journals are indexed in Cosmo Impact, IFJ, International Scientific Indexing, International Journal Impact Factor, many such names. And honestly, I mean these databases might be existing somewhere, but these databases, they don't have any importance. Many of them they don't have, but Putting these names on the journal really, impresses the audience, having international journal, international scientific indexing, international institute, and so on and so forth. So be careful with that. Another example of deceptive journal, you can see a paper is published in just 18 days here. No authentic journal ever writes on the front page any such information. Let us talk a little bit about modus operandi by predatory journals. These are modus operandi are used by predatory journals, which have wide range of subjects to publish papers. They are prevalent in Asian and African countries, some in USA, UK, Australia as well. The editor is jack of all but master of none, because you see only one person working and one person has the knowledge of all different subjects. It is a one-man show. Counterfeited publishers lie about their credibility and trustworthiness. Predatory journals are author-centric than reader-centric, as it used to be 20, 25 years ago. They were reader-centric rather than author-centric. Predatory journals trap honest and working authors. So, as a result of predatory publications, rise in unethical practices has been noticed, such as to earn tenures, promotions, and benefits by publishing in these deceptive journals. As the result, what happens? Academic excellence is demerited due to fake publications. Number of fake publications increased. Databases are filled with junk and fake science. Real and outstanding scientists for speedy and quick publications, even those scientists with good names, they also sometimes want to publish their paper quickly. And the published articles in open access remain hidden. The problem is advocates refuse to accept this problem caused by the open access process. So, why predatory publishers are problematic? Because they foster predatory and fake conferences, encourage publications of bogus researches, fake sciences, um, um, and they never stand by their contents and publications. They publish, dubious papers. They have dubious publication policies and unethical practices. Besides, the corrupt open access gives bad name to the science. And of course, they affect societal institutions in scientific research. Due to such publications, taxonomy and systematics of living organisms are faked out. And it also has caused imbalances in the ecosystems and environment. Pharmaceutical entrepreneurs use predatory publishers to make their inventions more efficacious. The exorbitant fees do not allow many authors from economically weak countries to publish their papers. And due to which many of the good scientists, they could not submit their good work to publish in open access journals. This is a very good data showing the actual time taken by reputed journals to publish papers in various disciplines, which ranges from 8 months to more than a year. So if you see these red color bars, you can get an idea that, on an average, how many months journals in chemistry, engineering, biomedicine, physics, and all these disciplines took. So starting from 4 months here in chemistry up to 10 months, 9 or 10 months, it took in business and economics. So, so the time of the time between submission and acceptance ranged from 4 months to almost 9 months. On the other hand, this golden color shows the time from acceptance to publication, which again goes from 5 or 6 months up to maybe 9 or 10 months. So total in these disciplines, reputed journals takes maybe from say 6 months to 14 to 16 months. And this is a decision tree differentiating open access journals with predatory journals. So if you go through this, it's kind of a schematic representation and various steps will show you and guide you, which way you have to go. So if you put your own thoughts into it, you would be able to achieve your target. And finally, conclusions. Honestly, no end in sight to prevent publication of unverified research articles. Honestly, there's none. Despite open access commercialization of scholarly communications, they are forthcoming. And scholarly publishing is becoming more author-centric than reader-centric. And finally, I would like to thank every one of you for listening this talk. And I also request all of you to please send me your thoughts, your criticism, and ideas, or even if you want me to talk on some other important aspect of scientific research, please let me know the title or the idea, and I'll try to prepare a talk on that as well. I have my email here, which you want to note down, please. You can if you want to. I also have my phone numbers here, my mobile as well as my office number. So you all are welcome to contact me if you need to. And once again, I want to thank you all for listening this important talk. And thank you and goodbye.